So first up for the speeches this evening. Quiet, please. Come on now. Come on. I know you've had a bit to drink. Silence. Nothing out of you lot. The gentleman I'm going to introduce to you, the reason that the wedding took place, the ceremony took place today at that fantastic crypt in St Paul's Cathedral is down to this gentleman. So I would very simply like to introduce to you the father of the bride, and by order of the British Empire, Dr. Peter Fenwick.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you, it'd be helpful if I had my glasses on. Start again. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how pleased I am today to see my daughter Rosalind looking so happy as she begins life today as Rob's wife. Many thanks indeed to you all for coming to their wedding and being involved in such a very special day in such wonderful locations. Firstly at St Paul's Cathedral and now in 1 Marylebone. 1 Marylebone was formerly known as Holy Trinity Church and was built between 1826 and 1828 to the designs of Sir John Soane. Soane was arguably England's finest architect in the neoclassical style and is perhaps best known for his work at the Bank of England in Threadneedle Street. 1 Marylebone is actually a Grade 1 listed building and one of only 3 churches by Soane. As you'll see, the building has been recently refurbished to the original designs, and given its grandeur, so close to Regent's Park, is used not only for wedding celebrations as today, but also for blue-chip product launches from a variety of industries with a focus on beauty, the arts, and fashion. I would, however, especially like to thank those who've helped with organising and funding the wedding, and those of you who have travelled a great distance to be here with us today. A number of guests have travelled down from the Midlands and the north of England, and some have travelled from East Anglia and Wales, and Ireland. In addition, others have travelled further from Spain and Germany, and even from the US and Australia. Tony, my brother-in-law, who unfortunately has just had to leave and conducted the wedding service today at St Paul's today, I'm not sure if you're aware, with his red cassock, is actually one of the Queen's chaplains and came down, as he said, from Harrogate with his wife Anne. My own brother Paul and his family came down from Newcastle upon Tyne. Sandra's sisters Rosemary and her husband Nick, together with her brother Brian and his wife Leslie, came down from Staffordshire. Suzanne, Rosalind's sister, who was one of the bridesmaids, travelled down from East Anglia, together with her husband Neil and the 2 flower girls, Imogen and Lottie, who unfortunately also had to go. Her other 2 bridesmaids were Laura, who was Rosalind's former flatmate in Newcastle, and also Jessica, who is Rob's sister. I should, however, of course, particularly would like to welcome Sandra, who's Rob's mother, to this very special day for the Fenwick and Berrisford families. And I'm only very sad that Rob's father, Steve, who died when Rob was a teenager, and also Rosalind and Rob's respective grandparents are not able to be physically with us here today, albeit they are certainly here in spirit. They would be very proud indeed of Rob and Ros. Although Anne and I have not known Sandra and her partner Chris for very long, we very much appreciate the genuine love and kindness they've shown to Rosalind over the last few years. Anne and I very much enjoyed being with them over Christmas in Marlow and meeting members of Sandra's family, including her sister Rosemary, niece and grandnieces. Rosalind is lucky indeed to be now part of such a wonderful family, and a Mrs. Berrisford. It is, however, very strange how there are many coincidences in this world. For when Rosalind was only 5 years old, all of the Fenwick family celebrated my parents' golden wedding anniversary at one of their favourite venues. The venue, although I'm not sure that Rosalind will remember because she was only 5, was actually called the Berrisford Arms. And it's in a village called Walton, which is near Morpeth, and given a Fenwick, I am from Northumberland. As her father, I'm particularly proud of Rosalind and everything she's achieved. Today, seeing her look so beautiful at her wedding is a very emotional occasion for me. And I know I will feel some measure of loss as she moves to a new chapter in her life. However, I am equally proud to welcome Rob as my new son-in-law. As we've got to know him better, he's shown himself to be exactly the sort of person that we hoped Rosalind would marry. Charming, sincere, dynamic, caring, with a very clear idea of what he wants to achieve in life. He's very much an ideas man who already has helped set up more than one internet-based company. And the kind of son-in-law anyone would wish for, despite of the fact that he chooses to support Chelsea rather than Arsenal, which is something I find very surprising, given that he almost lives on the doorstep of Emirates Stadium. When Ros first told us in 2009 she was going out with a new boyfriend, whom she had met through something called affiliate marketing, I remember asking her a few weeks later how they were getting on. Ros replied that it was early days and did not actually let us know Rob's name. So for the first few months of their relationship, Rob was known to both Anne and I as early days. And when talking to Ros, we would inquire how early days was. Eventually, Ros said that her boyfriend's name was Rob, and would we not refer to him as early days any longer? Given that we're in a venue which is used for fashion launches, I think it's only fair to let Rob know something more about Rosalind and her fashion sense before he met her, and particularly when she was younger. He may not be aware that this is not the first time she has stolen the show by being escorted down the aisle of a church at a wedding in a beautiful dress. The wedding in question, however, was in 1988 for one of her cousins in Cheshire, when Rosalind was only 4 years old and one of the two bridesmaids. She was wearing a floor-length bright pink and cherry red dress. As she was following the bride down the aisle to the sound of the bridal march, she called out in a very loud voice to Anne that she wanted to go to the loo. So Anne had to interrupt the proceedings and try to find the required facility. She then somehow had to discreetly lead Rosalind back to the altar steps to join the other bridesmaid so that the vicar could actually continue with the wedding ceremony. Another memorable occasion occurred at the age of 2.5, when she insisted on going to the Christmas Eve service at our church in Seaford near Brighton, dressed in a white coat with blue and red stripes, wearing angel wings and a white-framed sunglasses with one of the lenses missing. However, more recently, when she was in her mid-20s, I met her at Harrogate railway station for the occasion of the funeral of her maternal grandfather. It was about 5:30 in the evening, and most of the crowd of people who got out of the train from Leeds were commuters, dressed in anoraks and duffel-type coats. At first, I did not see Rosalind on the platform, but then saw her long blonde hair and noted that she was wearing a particularly beautiful black overcoat, which Rob had kindly bought her. She looked absolutely stunning, and particularly so compared with the harassed commuters who'd got off the train. I can still remember the glances I got all the way down the main street of Harrogate. People were clearly wondering how this old gentleman had managed to be escorting such a beautiful girl through the town. But Ros turns heads wherever she is. Besides her love of fashion, it is perhaps Rosalind's love of food and travelling which most stand her out in her journey to life to date. There can be few children whose earliest memories were sledging down Seaford Head Golf Course, which is opposite our house, on a plastic bread crate. The metal hand grips to the crate served as excellent sledge runners, and her exploits actually featured in our local paper together with an article. So perhaps this early experience between travelling and food is the deep down psychological reason for that link. Bread and plastic crates. Rosalind certainly was an early commuter. At first, she had to take a train to the primary section of Lewis Road Grammar School, and then she went to Brighton and Hove High School for girls in Brighton. Both of these schools were excellent, and Rosalind has retained a number of friends from that period. As a family, we'd always had holidays in either France or Switzerland, and sometimes we took Rosalind's school friends with us. I well remember having a holiday one October half-term in a village called d'Anjou, which is near Gisors, which is roughly halfway between Dieppe and Paris. We had taken one of Rosalind's school friends with us on that occasion, and we were having a meal in a restaurant in Gisors itself. The menu at the restaurant, however, was handwritten, and not only being in French, of course, was totally undecipherable to us. So we'd actually had to ask one of the waitresses if she could actually explain what the menu said. Rosalind and her friend decided to have jugged hare. As the restaurant was very busy, I didn't think I could ask the waitress to explain what all the starters on the menu were. So I said to Rosalind, would she like to have a starter? And I thought that that particular item on the menu was probably a prawn cocktail. Anyway, the first indication we had that we were not going to have a prawn cocktail was when another waiter put a 2-level oval-shaped frame on the table. He then came back with an oval platter stacked high with mussels, cockles, oysters, prawns, and other seafood, some of which to us appeared to be completely raw. We did not know whether to eat it or apologize to the waiter that we'd made a mistake. However, Rosalind's school friend, who I say was about 13 or 14 at the time, told us how much her mother liked oysters and explained how we were supposed to eat them. So Rosalind and I, with some hesitation, started to eat the seafood platter, and surprisingly, it was quite good. When we got back to the B&B at d'Anjou, the lady there asked us where we'd had a meal. When she heard that Rosalind and I had shared a seafood platter, she said, "Oh, how very adventurous." So Rosalind was about 14 at the time, and since then has eaten, as you will have seen from the menus, at some of the most famous restaurants in the world, and is quite an expert on different types of food and a very good cook. Hence, at least you know part. The reason for their choice of the names on the tables today. Or perhaps it's Rob who's a good cook. This love of food and travel is something that she very much shares with Rob. Up until the age of 30, Anne and I had lived in the US and Canada and worked for a period in Venezuela, the US, Qatar and Iran. We thought at the time we were very go-getting and adventurous. However, these experiences of Anne and I are nothing compared to what Rob and Rosalind have done in almost exactly the same timescale. Not only did they spend the 6 months going around the world in 2013, but they'd already previously been to North America, South Africa, and Australia, as well as several European countries. Some of these visits were actually adventure holidays and included such activities as swimming with sharks and parachute jumping, which are certainly activities that Anne and I haven't done. I was particularly interested when they returned from the round the world trip, which parts of the world they had thought were the most beautiful, which were her favourite cities, and what were her favourite foods. Her answers were that she thought northwest Montana and northwest Vietnam were the most beautiful. Austin, Texas, and Charleston, South Carolina were her favourite cities, and Vietnamese and American barbecues were her favourite foods. So you know now twice over why, in part, she chose the menu that we've had for this marvellous meal this afternoon. I'm sure this love of travelling and food, together with all the many other interests that they share, will stand them in good stead. Although Rob was partly brought up in Ontario, where his sister Jessica was born, I have never seen him skate or play ice hockey. Certainly, ice hockey was one of the sports I loved to watch when Anne and I lived in Montreal. I have, however, seen Rob play 10-pin bowling. That was when he and Ros visited Centre Parks last year at Elveden Forest near Thetford, where Anne and I were staying with Suzanne and the Flower Girls, Imogen and Lottie. I must say, he is very good indeed. At least very good at 10-pin bowling, and very, very competitive. And as a result, beat Ros, Anne and I very easily. However, I will never forget the wide grin on Rob's face when he so easily won, and the very supportive smile on Ros's face. This event clearly demonstrated to me their love, joy, and happiness at being together. As a result, Anne and I do not really feel that we are losing Rosalind, but rather that we are formally entrusting her to Rob's good care. I know that Rob's friends and family, as well as those who've only met him, think that this must really be one of those marriages made in heaven, if not in a bowling alley or restaurant. And will want to join me in wishing Rob and Ros a long and happy married life together. So please stand and raise your glasses and drink to the health and happiness of Rob and Ros. The health and happiness of bride and groom, Rob and Ros.
Obviously, I have to cut my interim speech short there because we're the 15-minute sweepstakes over. Thank you, Peter. So I'd like to say to you all very quickly, I'm now introducing a man, a legend. Someone once said to me who didn't know Rob and had heard of Rob and asked me, didn't know I knew him, and said, is it true that everyone needs a Rob Berrisford? I think it's true. I would agree. So he's a good friend, looked after me through thick and thin. We've had a yarn, we've had a laugh, and good luck in the next chapter. It's my great honour to introduce you to him, as he is today, a married man to a delightful bride. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rob Berrisford.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Peter. Now, I know you're excited to hear Clive's tall tales, so I'll try and keep this short, but hopefully not as short as him, and hopefully not as great. Spot of housekeeping before we kick things off. Now, those of you that know me well will know I'm not a huge fan of small talk. And those of you who have been married before will know that a groom's wedding day is rife with small talk. So, I thought we'd get a few things boxed off as a group, so I can have some more varied conversation in the bar later. Yes, we were very lucky with the weather. Yes, the church really was amazing. We're off to Italy on our honeymoon. Now on with the speech. So on behalf of my wife and I, I'd like to welcome you to our special day. Apparently there's a fair bit of planning involved, so Ros says. I didn't see a huge amount. So it all seemed fairly straightforward to me. So we've got a few people who've come a long way just to be with us today. Robbie Hudson, who's flown in all the way from Melbourne. We've got Fergal, who's flown in all the way from New York just to be with us today. And of course the Kesleys and the Jacksons, who have schlepped all the way in from Beaconsfield just to be with us today. Aren't we very lucky? Now, there are a few people who would have loved to have been here today. I'd love to give a special mention to my dad, who I know would have loved to have been here and meeting Ros and see her looking so beautiful today. So, early toast. If you'll all be upstanding and raise your glasses to absent friends and family. I don't have a glass. Don't worry about it. Back down you go. So we are very lucky to have lots of very close friends and family here to celebrate with us. If it wasn't for my mum, I wouldn't be here today. But much, much more importantly, neither would any of the booze. So thank you, Mum, very much, not just for today's drinks, but also for trying to raise a decent human being, which can't have been easy when you know that I was expelled from nursery school. Just play along. I'm also very grateful for my sister Jess, who also had to put up with the other child, but it's turned into an amazing sister as well as forgiving sister. Amazing woman as well as forgiving sister. Mum, Jess, I love you both very much. I'm very happy to have gained a new family here today. I'd like to thank them for their kindness and generosity, not just for helping today happen, but also for allowing me to marry Ros. Thank you very much. Those of you, many of you may know this story, but the first time I went to meet Ros's parents, I spent my Easter Sunday flying real time from Gatwick to Jersey in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2005. But if Peter hasn't bored you with that story already, I'm sure he will later. I'd like to thank the ushers, who were awful at the church. But I'd like to thank them for bringing so many pretty tourists just to be with us in the evening. Useless. I'd like to thank my Uncle Nick and Nicola for the readings at the church. Did a very good job. Nicola and Tony for picking up the donuts, the amazing donuts, the world's best donuts. For Bex for helping with the buttonholes this afternoon. Kristen, Isaac, Mark and JP for setting up the room. And Tony, who's already had a good handout for conducting the ceremony. I'd like to thank the bridesmaids, who look almost as beautiful as the bride herself today. I'd like to make a special thank you to our two sisters, Suzanne and Jess. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Laura for the cake. I'm not sure if you've seen the cake, but that cake was iced at about midnight last night to gangster rap after a lot of booze. And our two mini bridesmaids who have gone home to sleep. But of course, no, quick toast to the bridesmaids. If you could all be upstanding. To the bridesmaids. We're having gifts. Apparently there are gifts. But of course, the focus of all of our attention today, my beautiful bride. Roz, I adore you and I always will, apart from in the mornings when you're a complete nightmare. I don't think I've ever seen you looking more lovely than you do today. And while I feel very lucky to have such a sensational bride, I feel much, much luckier to have married someone so kind and generous to the core. I know that you bring out the very best in me, and I just hope that the years ahead have as much affection and adventure as the years gone by. So for my final toast, can you all please be upstanding? To Roz.
Well done, lad. Well done, well done, well done. Oh, I thought we did a pretty good job in the church. I met quite a lot of tourists in the church, or in the cathedral. I now consider friends. We exchanged email addresses. They asked me where the neoclassical area was for the next choir sing, and I just kept saying, I don't fucking work here. Sorry. So, I would like to introduce now, this is as you say, the main event. Martin here wanted us to do this in a really big boxing match style repertoire, but I've pulled out of that. We did that early on. So the man, the legend, the mountain, the leader of the lads. Now there's three groups of friends that Rob has. Certainly on the stag weekend we had. There's the lads. There's the Marlowe boys. School friends of Rob's. I'm not taking too much out of your speech, I hope, there, Clive. This is basically this is your speech. And there's the lads, the chaps that Rob met when he went travelling after university. and then when we were out in Liverpool, it was just everyone else, which is basically the internet lot, or as we're now known, the E-lads. I have been invited to become a member of the Irish lads. Thank you, gents. There'll be an initiation later, apparently. Something to do with a dance-off. Anyway. So... without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the leader of the lads, Mr. Clive Lennox.
Rob, I think I got a better cheer than you. That's... Yeah. The Marlowe boys. You'll be glad to know that on the last obstacle before we kind of get to the serious stuff of a bit of booze, and I've been sipping on a glass of wine there, so I'm mad for a beer or two. So I'll be promptly to the bar. Before I get going on kind of the customary duties of giving Rob a bit of a shoeing, I would like to just carry out my official duties of thanking Rob on behalf of the bridesmaids. 3 gorgeous looking ladies here. So thanks for your kind words, Rob, to them. And ladies, you look beautiful and you did an excellent job today. So thank you very much. And a quick note, if you haven't seen the video of the cake making, it's sensational. It's top class. Yeah, sponge only, icing off. And then you're only eclipsed by Roz, sitting here beside me, who looks absolutely stunning. What a beautiful bride. And congratulations, Roz. I would like to give some thanks. I would like to give thanks to the 5 ushers, if you don't mind standing up, lads. Please take a bow. They did have a difficult task of bringing everyone into the church. I know that's usually said in jest, but St. Paul's, as the maze it is, like it was tough going, and I thought you did well. Don't mind Rob, he's just a bit fussy. And what a venue. It's a privilege. I think there's not many Irish Catholics that have had the pleasure of walking into St. Paul's, so I really appreciate that. I was half looking over my shoulder, like waiting for security to turf me out, but we made it through. We made it through. Okay, shall we begin? Yeah. I think we shall. I'll play nice. I'll play nice. Robert Stephen Berrisford was born on the 12th of May, 1980, in Groundslow Maternity Hospital. I trawled through the archives looking for like kind of historic events that coincided with his birth date, but there were none. However, the 12th of May was a Monday, and the nurses in the maternity office, in the maternity wards, now know that date as Baby Monkey Monday. Rob, as a baby, he spent a few years in Baghdad. Believe it or not, Baghdad, I shit you not. From there, the Berrisfords moved to Canada. And in Canada, Rob enrolled into primary school, the Harry J. Clark's, I believe. It was pretty obvious from the staff there at Harry J's that Rob was a special person. His classmates were 5, he was 11. From Canada, Rob family made their way back to the UK through various places. Rob attended a couple of schools and then made the big leap and graduated from St. William Borlase, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he turned up, I believe. He turned up. It was here at Sir William's that Rob made lifelong classmate friendships with the squirrel, the rat, the beaver, and many other woodland creatures. Yeah. Beaver, rat, animals, a lot of animals. In turn, they affectionately called Rob the Beast. Just while we're talking about friends, a brief shout out to the stag party, who I think most are here today. So, lads, give yourself a round of applause there. The stag really did kick off as it did finish. To begin, like the stag had not even begun while we were on a train from London to Liverpool. And Dr. Chris and Rob had to carry a man from the train to an arriving ambulance. And this is the truth, the man was not part of the stag party, you'd be happy to know. But they had to carry him from the train to the arriving ambulance. And I took it as an omen as things to come later on in the stag. I'd like to take a moment now, I think it's one of my last thank yous, and single out Fowler. for his, like, your contribution to organising the stag was just immense. And without that, like, I just wouldn't have got through it. Yeah, you stood up. Yeah. Yeah, maybe stand up, Yeah. Fowler. It was June 2006, and the Lord came down to me. He said, Clive, there's a young Englishman by the name of Robert Berrisford who resides in Oval, England, that needs some help. So me being a God-fearing man, as you saw today, I packed my bags and I set sail from Dublin to London. It was outside the Fenton pub, Oval, that I found him, and what a sorry sight he was. Gee, I've never seen anything like it. I knew I had my work cut out for me, but I walked up to him, I held him, I looked him in the eyes and I said, Rob, stick with me, I'll make you a better man. Rob bought an apartment then in Clapham, and I agreed, like a bit of debating, but I agreed. I said, go on then, I'll move in as well. So I moved into the apartment, and we continued our intense mentoring. This guy, a lot of work needs to be done here. But it was in 19B, Linen Road, that I saw Rob grow from the little timid, we all know, a little timid, shy guy that he was to the man that we all know and love today. It'd be rude of me not to kind of stop, maybe recount a couple of stories from our time at 19 Linen Road. The house is so famous now, it actually has its own song, which we will probably be singing later on, so join in the chorus later on. But like, oh boy, if walls could talk, if walls could talk. There are a few people sitting here sweating today. Not pointing at any particular tables, but yeah, if walls could talk. Martin, Gary, dance floor later on. This is going on. So 19B, it was at 19B that Rob taught me probably the most valuable lesson he's taught me. He looked at me and said, Clive, like, if there's any ever problems, if you ever have a problem, just chuck a bit of money at it. I was going, okay, all right, okay. And this was never better applied than when Rob hired our weekly cleaner. And I thought, like, a 2-bed apartment, a cleaner, are you joking me? But how wrong was I? It was a revelation. Like, hats off to you, Rob, you got that right. But the thing was, Rob was very, very picky about the cleaners that we had. And, all right, fair enough, like, the guy likes a clean house, cool. But I got a little bit suspicious. After a 12-month period, Rob had sacked about 5 of the cleaners. My suspicions proved founded when I kind of later found out that you dated half them. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll claw it back. I'll get it back. I'll get you back. 19B was not just only a home for myself and Rob, but for every passing Irishman that ever landed in London. In a moment of true honesty, Rob confided on me that he wished he'd been born an Irishman. So 19B, a very special place, and Clapham itself was a great spot for us. Rob was well known at the local florist. He spent a lot of money buying bouquets of flowers there. But not for what you think. It was more for like the antics that we got up to upstairs to like apologise for the sisters that lived in the flat below us. So he was constantly in and out buying flowers. But I think, Rob, you tried to sell me that you were apologising to them after I think we had like naked men like sleeping outside the house. There was people climbing the windows trying to get into the... And there was, not only that, there was a man weaving down the road dressed in nothing more than a pair of Knicks and a Mexican wrestling mask. He may be here today. So Rob tried to say that, yeah, the flowers are for like an apology to the sisters below, but Rob, secretly, I actually think you fancied the older sister. Yeah, well... yeah, we had a good time in 19B, a good old spot. Rob like me, like most of us here, we like a good session, we like a night out in the pub, we like a day out in the pub. I think Rob's crowning moments came in the form of the Jägermeister challenge in a local boozer. So we went to the boozer and Rob and a friend, Sean Brophy, went at it pretty much at the bar. So Jägermeister after Jägermeister just disappeared as these two pillars of the community went at it toe to toe. By 10 Jägermeisters, 10 Jaeger bombs, Rob was, like the alcohol was coursing through his veins, like you could see it, I could hit him. But it was 11 Jägermeisters, 12 Jägermeisters, 13 Jägermeisters more. By 14 Jägermeisters, Rob was 2 sheets to the wind, and he tapped out. Now, there are 2 versions of what happened next. How Rob saw it, and actually what actually happened. Okay. In Rob's eyes, he said, well, 14 Jägermeisters came, I knew I had enough, I tapped out, and I went home for the night. No. What actually happened? By 14 Jägermeisters, Rob was now seeing fairies. Like, this guy was out of control. He tried to get up and sneakily disappear from the pub, like make a sneaky exit without anyone noticing. But like all 10 of us that were there in the pub were just watching him. He made his beeline towards the door and he took out every table, chair, bar stool in the way. He stumbled out the door. Unbeknownst to him, all 10 of us followed him out and watched him walk up the road. He swayed, he used walls, he used parked cars, lampposts as balancing machines. Yeah. He fell into the chipper and out of the chipper, and it wasn't a kebab, out of the chipper, and tried to find himself a little quiet spot so he could sit down. But he chose a doorway directly opposite the pub that we were in drinking in. So he kind of half sat, half lay, as he then proceeded to decorate himself with some curry chips. And I think the best part of it for me was, it was broad daylight and it was 3 o'clock in the day. So, myself and Rob, one night, we visited the local disco, the local Emporium Infernos in Clapham. There's probably a lot of people here that hooked up that went to Infernos on some night out, I assume. So we left. We decided to call it a night. It wasn't a particularly heavy night, so we decided to pull the cord in the night and get out of there. So when we walked out of Infernos, the heavens opened up and rain came down like I've never seen it before. It was lashing down. So we skipped through the streets in an attempt to get home and to the refuge of our house. So you probably all know, well, you can just look and you'll know now if you hadn't before. Rob has the largest cranium known to mankind. Like, this thing is out of control. So large is his cranium that if he tilts just a little bit too far forward or to the side, he's horizontal in 2 seconds flat. So there we were, skipping through the streets. Rain was coming down, and he made the fatal error of kind of tilting too far forward. And what I saw next is possibly the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. Funny afterwards, but at the time strange. The funny bit came later. Rob tilted forward, torso and legs were in quick pursuit as he went flying. He somehow managed to wedge himself between a parked car and this high curb. So he's lying there horizontal, stuck, like he's stuck. His head was stuck, his body was stuck, he couldn't move. But all along, there was a river of rainwater washing over him while he lay on the ground. Yeah, it was pretty much death by drowning like this. Yeah, it was a special moment in my life. I could only stand there and like in amazement as I watched the whole thing proceed. I didn't help him out really because I did really find it funny though. It was good. There are 101 stories that I could tell you about Rob, and I'm aware I'm on a timer, and it's probably Roz's schedule as well out of kilter here, and she's probably giving me the evil daggers. If you haven't seen the spreadsheet, that's also something that you should get your hands on. Wow, that thing is good. So I would ask you, when you find him at the bar and you don't want to do the small talk that he's all kind of confessed that he hates doing, just ask him about how he nearly moved to the OC in, was it for spring, summer, also Come Dine With Me, episode 1, and maybe the Spice Rack. So 3 stories there that you can ask him about. At the bar. Look, Rob and I we lived together as flatmates for many a year, and we've been very good friends. Rob is someone that I trust completely. He's a top man, and he lives his life by a fantastic ethos. Like, he really lives for the best. He's got a great work ethos. He works hard, and he enjoys his spoils, and why not? He's a loving son. He's a loving brother. He's an entrepreneur. He's a risk taker, and he's a great friend to many people who, a lot of them are here today. Rob, you're someone I look up to, and I'm very proud to be part of what you've got going on here in your life. And a final story, a brief one, but we had this rule in the house. Well, it's more your rule than my rule. Tuesday night was date night. Tuesday night. No other night was date night. Tuesday night. Every other day in the week had too much importance to it. There was there's not, like, there's no way I'm doing a bit of courting on any other night than a Tuesday. But suddenly, things started changing, and I noticed Rob apportioning a bit more time and dates to Friday and Saturday. And I'm going, Friday and Saturday? Are you joking me, pal? Like, Wednesday and Thursday maybe, but like a Friday and Saturday. But this name kept on popping up more and more often, and the name was Roz. So it wasn't a surprise to me when I met Roz, and I knew that his head had been turned and he truly picked a winner. Rob, on the way to this day here today, you've kissed a lot of frogs, right? A lot of them. But in Roz, you've stood up to the plate, and you've picked a winner. So congratulations to you both. Okay, I'm not going to babble on too much more, because I can see the drifties that only got the kind of the second half of the evening invite kind of pouring in there on the side. So now, welcome, guys. I'm a nice guy. I really am. I'm a nice guy. But I'd like to thank everyone that's made this day so special. So to everyone here, thank you very much for making it so special. Thank you for the contribution to the day. Well, you're all upstanding anyway, so please raise a glass and a toast to the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Robbie B. Berrisford. Thank you.